Hello people, what's up? How are you guys doing? I hope great. Welcome back to another lesson of English with Ashish. And guys, today we are going to understand what is the difference between a misplaced modifier and a dangling modifier. And in the previous lessons, we've already understood what is a misplaced modifier and what is a dangling modifier. If you do not know anything about these modifiers, go watch those lessons. I'll give you the link in the description. Alright, I'm excited. Hope you too. Let's do it. Alright people, let us quickly understand what is a misplaced modifier and what is a dangling modifier. We'll start with a misplaced modifier. A modifier is called misplaced, as the name goes, misplaced when it is placed next to a word or words that it does not modify, when the word it modifies or intends to modify is little far away from this modifier. When a modifier sits little far away from the word or words it intends to modify, it is called a misplaced modifier because it modifies something else. Instead of modifying the word it intends to modify, it seems to modify some other word because it sits little far away from the word it actually modifies. And that is why we call it a misplaced modifier. Now, what is a dangling modifier? A modifier is called dangling when it does not have anything to modify. When the sentence has nothing to be modified by the modifier is called dangling. So unlike a misplaced modifier, a dangling modifier has nothing to modify. It is sitting in a sentence doing nothing. As I said in the last video, a dangling modifier is like a doctor that has no patient to treat, right? So a dangling modifier has nothing to modify in a sentence. All right, so let us take some examples and understand how these modifiers work. I have given some chocolates to students imported from Germany. If you guys look at this sentence closely, all right, carefully, I have given some chocolates to students imported from Germany. Imported from Germany is our modifying phrase, right? Now, what is it modifying? By the context, you understand that I've given some chocolates to students and these chocolates have been imported from Germany. You understand that, right? I mean, you have your mind, a logical mind, you can understand that. But the literal meaning of the sentence is I've given some chocolates to students who have been imported from Germany. Students imported from Germany, which is not the case as you can clearly see. But the sentence is written in a way that makes us believe that these students have been imported from Germany, which is not the case. So we have a misplaced modifier here, which is actually a participle phrase, imported from Germany, right? If you look at the second example, thinking about the story, the movie started. Thinking about the story, the movie started. Now, in this example, we have a modifier, a dangling modifier, which is thinking about the story. Now guys, what does a modifier do in the first place? It modifies something, it gives information about something that is generally a noun or a pronoun or a verb, right? Now thinking about the story, it's a modifying phrase giving information about the word that comes next to it. And what is that? The movie, right? Now guys, think, can a movie think about something? Is movie a person? No, it's not. Does not have anything that this modifying phrase modifies, right? The sentence has nothing that this modifying phrase can modify. So we have a case of a dangling modifier, which means this modifier has nothing to modify in the sentence. Let me give you more examples. I found my phone walking down the road. Now, what is it? A misplaced modifier or a dangling modifier? What is this modifying phrase modifying? Walking down the road. Who is this action doing? Is it the phone walking down the road or me? You guys already know that's me who's walking down the road, but by the sentence, if you look at the sentence, it looks like it is my phone that's walking down the road. If you just look at the sentence, this is what it means, right? So in this example, we have a misplaced modifier. That means our modifier is coming next to a word that it is actually not modifying, and the word that it actually modifies or intends to modify is little far away from this modifying phrase. So it is actually a misplaced modifier. But in the next example, while talking over the phone, the train left. First of all, what is the modifier here? Simple while talking over the phone. A dangling modifier or a misplaced modifier is basically a participle phrase, either a present participle phrase or a past participle phrase. It can be some other modifying phrases as well, but generally most of the times it is a participle phrase. All right, so in this example, while talking over the phone is a modifying phrase. All right, now what is it modifying? It's modifying the subject of the main clause, the train. The train is talking over the phone. Is it possible? No. So do we have the word that it can modify in the sentence? No. The sentence does not have anything that this modifying phrase can modify. All right. So this means we have a modifier, we have a doctor that does not have any patient to treat, right? So this is a case of a dangling modifier. So guys, by now we've understood what is a misplaced modifier and what is a dangling modifier. So let's look at the major differences. When we talk about a misplaced modifier, it has the word that it intends to modify. It is just that it sits a little far away from that word. But when we talk about a dangling modifier, a sentence that has a dangling modifier does not have the word that the modifier can modify or possibly modify. It misses the word or the words that the modifier or modifying phrase can modify. The second difference is a misplaced modifier, a sentence that has a misplaced modifier, does not need any word or words from outside to correct the sentence, right? But when we talk about a dangling modifier, a sentence that has a dangling modifier needs some words or maybe a word from outside to correct the sentence. All right. The third difference is a misplaced modifier can be corrected simply by placing the right word next to the modifier. All that you have to do is place the word that the modifier intends to modify next to it, right? Either before it or after it. But when we talk about a dangling modifier, you have to rearrange the sentence. You have to infuse some words in the sentence to correct it. All right. So there are two ways to correct a dangling modifier. Either you have to infuse the right word or words that the modifier can possibly modify or intends to modify, or if your sentence has a participle phrase, you have to change that participle phrase into a dependent clause, right? So let me show you how to do it. So if we look at the first example that we took, I have given some chocolates to students imported from Germany. All that I have to do is I have to place the right word next to our modifying phrase. So I'll say I've given some chocolates imported from Germany to students. But if we look at the second example, thinking about the story, the movie started. We simply cannot correct the sentence by rearranging it or shuffling it, okay? We can correct it in two ways. Number one, we have to infuse the word next to this modifying phrase that it can modify or it intends to modify or wants to modify. So thinking about the story, I started watching the movie. Or thinking about the story, I saw the movie getting started. All right. Or we can change this present participle phrase into a dependent clause. We can say, when I was thinking about the story, the movie started. Or while I was thinking about the story, the movie started. Now this present participle phrase has been changed into a dependent clause. When I was thinking about the story or while I was thinking about the story. All right. So that's how we correct our dangling modifier. Now let's correct these sentences. I found my phone walking down the road. This is a misplaced modifier. So I can correct it in two ways. Walking down the road, I found my phone, or I, walking down the road, found my phone. Right? Next example. While talking over the phone, the train left. This is a case of a modifier. We do not have the word that this modifying phrase while talking over the phone intends to modify or can logically modify. So we'll infuse a word or some words, right? So we'll say while talking over the phone, I saw the train leaving, or I missed the train, okay? Or while I was talking over the phone, the train left, or when I was talking over the phone, the train left. So guys, that is how we correct a dangling modifier and a misplaced modifier. So I hope the difference between a dangling modifier and a misplaced modifier is clear. And if you have any questions, any doubts, do let me know in the comment section below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Do that right now. Okay, and share this video with your friends, with the people that you know, so that this can help everybody. And I'll start it. Have fun. I'm out.